or businesses in technology over the years, and who will share their personal experiences, speak about possible career paths and business opportunities, and help other women here appreciate the importance of acquiring digital and deep tech skills in this digital age. We really appreciate Microsoft for collaborating with us to bring this initiative to life, and we look forward to impacting and improving the economic realities for women across Africa. Once again, I would like to appreciate everyone for being here today, our wonderful speakers and our lovely attendees for being here today with us as you commence your journey, especially the attendees commencing your journey to becoming women in tech. I look forward to a wonderful conversation here, and thank you once again, everyone. Over to you, Joy.
Thank you so much, Dura, for such a wonderful welcome address. It's exciting to have more women come into the tech space because there are tons of opportunities out there, and without first gaining awareness of this opportunity, they won't be able to access them. And that's why we organize this open day, just to help more women leverage technology for their career and business. In case you're just joining us, that was Dira Oladipo, so at Tech for Dev here. Shortly, I'll be introducing the Fast Side channel. I know you're all happy and excited about this one. We'll be featuring Lillian Barnard, the CEO of Microsoft South Africa, and she's here on the call today. So I'll just read her bio and introduce her moderator, Unathi Twala, to take over the session. So Lillian Bernard was appointed as the Chief Executive Officer of Microsoft South Africa in March 2019. She joined Microsoft in May 2017 as the Public Sector Director for South Africa, a role she held for almost 2 years. Lillian has more than 20 years experience in the ICT industry. She's a seasoned professional with proven capabilities and a strong understanding of local markets. Through the various executives, both locally and abroad, she has gained extensive knowledge in sales, operations, business controls, strategy, business transformation, and leadership. This experience combines with her deep industry knowledge, positions her perfectly to strengthen Microsoft's commitment to South Africa and its wishes to drive its digital transformation ambitions and empower governments, organizations, and individuals to achieve more. She has become renowned for building strong, high-performing teams that consistently deliver on their financial targets, while also bringing innovative solutions to her partners and customers. Having led large teams both locally and abroad, she is recognized for strengths in developing people and creating an environment where everyone can do their best work. Lillian is passionate about enabling a truly diverse and inclusive workplace. By drawing on her own experiences, she endeavors to create a culture that enables people to bring their authentic selves to the workplace and be embraced for that individuality. She has become very pivotal in reigniting the South African chapter of Women at Microsoft and spurring a culture that encourages gender equality in the workplace. Prior to joining Microsoft, Lillian has served as Chief Sales Officer Comms Enterprise Business for 2 years. She also headed Lillian B Consulting Services, where she was an advisor and coach to business leaders. During Lillian's 15 years career at IBM, she held several key leadership positions, including working for 7 years at the IBM European headquarters in France and Switzerland. She previously served on the boards of Bootcamp South Africa, Mango Airlines, and Dart Fund non-profit organization. She's currently sitting at the board on the American Chamber of Commerce and the Patent Provincial Government for Industrial Revolution Commission. She also serves as advisory board member of the Institute for Intelligent Systems at the University of Johannesburg. Lillian holds a bachelor's in communications in business economics from the University of Western Cape, and we're delighted to have her join the event today. Thank you, Lillian, for joining us. Moderating the session will be Unathi Twala. She's a marketing manager for youth at Standard Bank South Africa. So I'm leaving this to you, Unathi, to handle this session. Over to you now. Unathi, please unmute yourself. You're muted.
My apologies, I forgot to unmute myself. Good. Thank you so much, Joy, for that warm welcome and also the amazing introduction to our executive speaker today. Good afternoon, Lillian. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Unathi? Thank you, Joy, for the introduction. Appreciate it.
I'm good, thank you. Lillian, I just want to say before we actually continue, I just want to put it up front that I celebrate you and I'm really honored to be having this conversation with you. I think really your life and your career so far could really be used as a playbook in not just women in South Africa, but also women in tech globally. So I just wanted to celebrate you before we kickstart the conversation.
Listen, thank you. Appreciate
It's definitely a career highlight for me. The first question, I think, to set the tone, as I have alluded that your career specifically is so rich and so vast that it can basically be used as a playbook for women that aspire to grow within the tech industry. How did it all begin?
So, Joy actually read most of my bio, but what I will do is that I will maybe color in just some of the context. I like to always start this conversation for me at the beginning, and for me, the beginning is always with my parents. So from a very young age, I've realized the power of learning and also the role of education. I'm very grateful for my parents who laid a very firm foundation. And they kept me grounded, and I'm actually one of 4 siblings. And at the age of 12, I knew I wanted to go to university to pursue then a commerce degree. And I was very fortunate to be afforded the opportunity because for many of you who know, the history of our country, it was at the time rather the exception than the norm. And also role models were few and far between, and parents always didn't have the money to make things like that happen. I always say that my degree was co-funded, 80% study loan from the bank, which of course I had to pay off when once I was done with university, and 20% my parent actually paid for. And at the age of 21, I was done with my 2 degrees from the University of the Western Cape, and I also get to speak a lot at my alma mater and just also partnering with them. And truly my education gave me just a solid base and opened doors of opportunities for me, which I grabbed with both hands. So truly the genesis of my career was at IBM when I joined a graduate intern program, and there were about 100 of us, and it was just, at the dawn of the new era in South Africa after 1995, and it was just super exciting. There were so many of us, and of course our futures were, lying ahead of us. So I was very fortunate, actually, and this is how I got into leadership, was that at the age of 28, I got my first leadership break, and actually I never stopped leading ever since. It was a great opportunity, but I often say as well, it was equally a challenge because I felt that I didn't have the experience needed for the role, but of course I was appointed based on potential. And that is why it's so important always that, especially when you're young, you try new things, you ask, for opportunities, you ask good questions, because you're just never sure which door would ultimately open for you. And I always expressed my desire to go into leadership. And that opportunity actually opened up my international assignment, doing well in that job, which I was quite fortunate to do. And of course, that was as a result of mentorship, which I will talk about as well, and the importance thereof. So stayed in Europe for about a good 7 years, working at the European headquarters, 3 years in France, 4 years in Switzerland. And then I decided to come back home. And I looked, then had an Africa-wide role. So I've traveled, I've been to Nigeria, I've been to Ghana, I've been to Kenya, and just love all the countries. And so I spent basically 15 years with IBM. After that, it was just a great opportunity really to build a solid career foundation. After that, I started my own business, Lillian B Consulting, which was more like, advisory, and I also did a lot of, just speaking women empowerment. I wrote a quote book. I love quotes because I believe that the right quote at the right time can truly spur you into action. During my entrepreneurial stint, I also sat on a few boards, and board experience was just amazing to learn. And then this is how I joined Vodacom, which is the Vodafone subsidiary locally, as Chief Sales Officer. Stayed with them for about 2 years and joined Microsoft, an amazing, amazing company where we get to do a lot of things to just, help our customers with great partners, and also making sure that we advance our countries, right, in terms of where we reside. You know what, I truly believe in diversity and inclusivity. I always say it stems from my own experience, having walked this journey for quite some time, because it's important that we have to bring more women into the tech space. We have to make sure that women excel through all levels of leadership, right from literally, junior levels all the way up. And truly that we do develop that very, very strong pipeline. And it takes a lot of intentionality and a lot of work. And that's the journey that I'm on as well, making sure that we create, more opportunity for women to flourish in this space. Back to you, Unathi. You're on mute.
Apologies. Thank you. That was wonderful. It's always so inspirational to hear it from you. And on that quote book, you'll have to give us the details so that we can also tap into more of your wisdom. Coming from because you started with an internship with IBM, and you've gone full circle now being the first female, a Black managing director for Microsoft in South Africa. You have touched every point of, career growth, and education has been important to you, as you have said. Looking into the future and seeing that on the call we have women in technology in various categories, what would you say would be the 3 most important factors for building a successful career in tech?
If I build on my own experience, right, and these are not always things that you do ponder on, especially when you're young, Unathi, I would say it's really built your tenacity early, and so that you can become resilient. As you can imagine, this has been a 25-year journey for me. When I joined and started out my career, I was young, I was ambitious, but there were days when I felt, wow, the road is becoming long and incredibly hard. And the reason why I talk about, you're building your tenacity so that you could never literally throw in the towel, because there will be moments, especially on your journey, when you will be told, sorry, you're not ready, we have someone else in mind, not you, or no, not now, you just need a bit more development, right? And it is in those moments that you have to ensure that you keep on believing and that you don't lose hope, hope in your dreams, and hope, about this bold vision that you have for your life. I even remember that during my own entrepreneurial stint, I had to build a lot of grit. And this is how I look at it, right? I say obstacles, you must use them as your stepping stones and use them as an opportunity to grow. Disappointments, and there will be quite a few, of course, if you build this over the period that I did, and it helps you build character. And I always believe that your talent and your character needs to dovetail, and you need to use this as an opportunity really to bounce back. There will be lots of detours, let me tell you, it's a great learning curve. And I mean, what it's like when you on the highway, you take the wrong off-ramp and you think, oh my goodness, I have to go back all the way. You see different things, you get to experience different things. It's no different with sometimes your life when you take a different detour. It humbles and it humanizes you profoundly. I remember I always say that, running my own business was never part of my grand plan, but it ended up being a great plan, right? Because I truly made the most out of the season. You will have some delays. And the biggest thing is that during those delays, when you feel like, man, I am ready, and it's not coming, it's important for you not to give up, because your appointed time is still coming. This is one of my favorite quotes. I always use it because it gives me profound perspective. It says that, mountaintops inspire leaders, but it is the valleys that mature us. We have to understand, and it doesn't really matter where you sit, right? Your career path's unlinear. It's never linear. It is through your valleys, your detours, and even your mountaintops where you truly discover who you are. And it's so important that you continue to be on this journey of self-discovery. The second point I would say for me that made a huge, huge difference was seeking guidance and mentorship. I'm a huge proponent of mentorship. I've been mentored by great leaders, both in and outside of the industry, and of course internationally as well. And committed mentors and leaders can help you build a bold vision for your life. They can give you guidance. And I would say to women, it's important also to seek out male mentors, because I've had actually both male and female, and men are just amazing allies, right, to help you in your journey. And also fundamentally, when you think about a mentor, think about someone who's willing to help you, someone who's willing to teach you. And the benefits of mentorship for me are clear. It accelerates your professional development, which happened to me, because you actually get to glean from someone else's experience. You improve your overall skills because you tap into someone else's learnings. I always say that we don't get to live for a lifetime to make all the mistakes we could possibly make, so you might as well learn from someone else. It gives you a broader outlook on life because you get to see the world through someone else's lenses, which is just amazing because it continues to kind of just give you a much broader view of life. It unlocks and maximizes your potential, and it absolutely boosts your self-confidence, because it's just great to have that extra person believing in you, because the road that you're trying to travel on, because remember, they've already done that. And mentors also, they can really supersize your thinking and help you, diversify your thinking. They can give you really an ability to be courageous in your leadership, and also emphasize something I talk about a lot, which is understanding that this is learning, and you will continue to learn. It doesn't matter where you are in your journey. And for me, that's actually quite important. Maybe the third point I would say is understand that you're going to become a perpetual learner. No one told me this actually when I left university at the age of 21 done. I thought, oh my goodness, I'm done studying. I'm so happy. Actually, that was but just the beginning of learning, right? Because then you start acquiring real experience. And this is one of my favorite quotes, and it says that life is a continuous learning journey of self-discovery and self-improvement. We have to improve as people. We have to expect more of ourselves. I believe that every new level is a new experience. It requires a better version of you. And even for me, I've had many, different senior roles. I was senior early in my career, but what is true though about my career is that this is the first time that I am CEO of a company, so I've learned new things. So you never stop learning. See yourself as life's perpetual student. Stay curious, ask questions, remain open-minded, and we need to almost partner with learning and see it as a strategic asset, right? And we just need to be also, I feel, that kind to ourselves, because sometimes we feel awkward, we feel uncomfortable, it's unfamiliar, I've never done it. Just understand when you feel like that, you are truly in a learning zone. And we should embrace our moments of vulnerability, right? And difficult experiences, because this is how we ultimately become better as people.
Thank you so much, Lillian. On that note of being a perpetual learner, as well as a mentorship, I can imagine that there are a lot of young women that would want access to you. Do you have any mentorships that you currently have, other than broadly mentoring? Because even this platform, I consider it mentorship. But do you have any one-on-ones? Do you have any open line for that, for our audience?
So that's a question I do get asked very often, purely because I find I often put myself in the position by talking so much about mentorship, right? So first of all, from a time constraints, the answer is no. But what I try to do, Unathi, I try to make myself available to come to these forums, because I have found that every time I listen to a different speaker, there's always some great notes that you could take. What I always try to do is I try to share my life lessons in a very conversational way, in a lessons learned way, so that people can kind of read a little bit more into my story. However, there is an initiative that I will be starting with an organization, because I know that there is a huge need for mentorship. And I've always said that, how do we scale mentorship, right? How do you take, for example, my time and you scale my time, because what's not realistic is the fact that I could have 1 hour for many people, given that I run a company on a full-time basis. And on top of it, I also have my own employees. And I always say this, Microsoft bought all of my time, but I always try to make sure there's always something that you could do. So I hope in due time to kind of make that known to the market, where I hope a lot of women would be joining, because the biggest thing is that if we could scale this, because what I've learned even from my own journey, you know, when you travel through, you know, and you're young, you on average have, you know, the same questions. How do I get ahead? How do I do this? How do I do that? And sometimes if you can answer some of those questions at scale, but also get different stories and get more women to tell different stories, you all will then be ultimately served with a buffet of advice, which is fantastic, right? Then you can literally just take what you need. So yeah, so more to come on that piece. But I think for me, what I try to do is to make sure I do come to these forums and do share a bit of my stories and get women to ask me questions. And because I think it is important for us to, one, pay it forward. And also, I know when I was much younger, I wanted to see someone looking like me doing what I was aspiring to do.
And I certainly have been, over the years, learned a lot from you, not only on technology, actually, but I think leadership, you know, and psychology, personal development. There's a lot of things that I have picked up from following you over the years. So, Lillian, my next question is on the actual technology industry. It's big, it's vast. It's somewhat new, especially now. I think the pandemic has also made it even more in the minds at top of people. It is unashamedly male dominated. I mean, just in South Africa only, I read a stat the other day that only about 23% of women, which is actually the majority of the population in South Africa, are in the tech space. But I think, you know, with the jargons and, you know, cloud computing, you know, digital skills, it's intimidating. What would you say to women that actually would never consider getting into the technology industry? What would you say they are losing out on for not participating?
Yeah, listen, thank you for sharing those stats. I mean, listen, we've seen women make a lot of gains in many different industries, but you rightly said that we are still hugely underrepresented in the tech space. And you mentioned South Africa, and globally, only 20% of women are, you know, having tech jobs. And we've seen the studies that were done about having just more women, right? Not just in the tech space, in terms of what are some of the benefits that companies will derive: increased productivity, increased innovation, better decision-making, balanced decision-making, right? Higher employee retention. And what we've seen is that when it comes from a gender perspective, especially in the tech space, we've realized what actually gets women to join the tech space is more encouragement, is doing what you're doing today, you, Unathi, Joy, Diura, by having the conversation to encourage women, because it's less about technical acumen, because women do have the technical acumen, but often we don't believe we've got what it takes to actually make it in the space. And that is why we need to have more forums like this, so that we could, you know, encourage more women to take, you know, take up tech careers. Another piece is that if you think about just, if you go down to schooling, as for me, it's about how do we partner with teachers, that we start creating curriculums where we could make, you know, ensure that we make STEM careers more accessible, more attractive to younger women, because it's also about making sure that, you know, we make things ultimately, you know, available to them. It's about giving women access to tech education, making sure they have the tools, the platforms. You give them ultimately, you know, the equipment so that they can understand their options, because sometimes if people don't understand what's available, they won't understand what their true choices are. And so if we think about digital skilling and some of the things that Tech for Deaf is doing, even when we launched the Women Techsters initiative, it was an amazing initiative, because we should not underestimate how much work we still need to do when it comes to actually bridging, you know, the digital divide. And if I think about just, you know, women joining the labor market, we have to make sure we bring women in, because if we don't bring women into the tech spaces, because if you think about it, what's happening to our post-pandemic world, our jobs are becoming more digital. And that means the opportunity will become, you know, in the digital space, the tech space. And we need to give women an opportunity to enter this so that they could have decent jobs, they could become financially independent. And ultimately what they will be doing is that they will also be contributing out to the economies, right? And we could make Africa actually a much stronger economy. So there's a quote that I like from the World Economic Forum, and I use it often, and it says that we cannot afford to leave women out of our engines of innovation. That is half of the the world's brain power that we would leave out of our engines of innovation if we don't do something deliberate to make sure that we create inclusivity, create platforms where you invite them, show them the many different career paths, go back all the way to school to make sure that we get young girls, young women signed up even in universities to start following this path. Because there's actually, from an end-to-end point of view, from a society, we just stand to gain if we bring more women into the industry.
Wonderful. And I think Microsoft does a great job in terms of opening up for that diversity. Because you have been in the industry for about 25 years, the technology space looks different from what it looked 25 years ago. But essentially, business is about solving problems and bringing up solutions. What would you say now are the business opportunities? What are the challenges? And what are the opportunities? Give us some secrets.
Yeah, I actually spoke at the Innovator Trust, which was also a group of entrepreneurial women. And this was kind of like my advice to them, and say that if you look at it, most solutions will become digital. Technology presents an opportunity to answer some of most Africa's pressing challenges. So let me start with what I've already said. Seek guidance, mentorship, make sure you learn from others. But something as women think about, business, as they think about the space, one thing that you have to think about, for me, it's always think digital, right? We've seen how businesses across the board had to think digital, and we can take the simple example, right, in terms of what happened to restaurants. First, you had to just sit in, and they probably would have told you, sorry, we would never be able to do, curbside pickup. Comes the pandemic, all of a sudden there are digital tools available where you could go online, you could get still what you need without you actually physically entering any building. So think digital, because what digital does is it is going to help you with scale, it's going to help you with size. And also, as you think about digital, understand that location is no longer a limitation, because just think about the event that we're having today on this amazing digital platform, right? It's originated out of Nigeria. You with me here in South Africa, and we've invited women across the continent to join us, and this is what technology enables you to do. Think agile. How do I become adaptable? How do I change with the science of the times? And technology allows you to do that, because you can continue to refine whatever you do. Number 3, I would say, is that think relevance and constantly listen, look around at the signals to say that, I shop far more online than I ever did before the pandemic, as much as I was in the digital space. Yeah, for 80% of my stuff I used to physically go into stores and buy, and now almost for 80% of my stuff I buy online, and I only go into stores about 20%. So think about relevance. And for those stores who, for example, have decided maybe not to be online, they won't be able to have access to maybe what I have to offer from a purse value. Think partnerships. Be focused and be brave. And when I say think partnerships, what I've also kind of noticed was that, especially if you think of entrepreneurs, I've seen a lot of people in almost like a sole proprietorship doing things on their own, which is much harder when you do it. But think about it. If 5 of you have exactly the same idea and you think about coming together, you automatically make something that used to be very simple, you're making it much bigger. But also what that does is that as you think about bigger partnerships, you can actually get the attention of people to make sure that you start adding gravitas to that conversation. And I would say maybe lastly, I would also say think innovation. What can I do that no one else has done? The technology is available, right? Think a little bit out of the box. And a lot of entrepreneurs who've come up with amazing stuff will tell you that half of my innovation came from my own frustration. Right, I was frustrated, I couldn't find X, and I decided, okay, let me go figure it out. And you want to kind of encourage women to be a little bit more brave and go into some of these untapped spaces, looking for solutions. And they even talk about that as women coming more into education, they have more spend power. So think about how do you kind of start connecting some of these unconventional dots, right? Because sometimes if you just think about it, you will find that some of these answers that technology could respond to is sometimes just right in front of you.
Thank you so much. So I consider myself a newbie within the Women in Tech space. And one of my ideas is an app that I'm currently developing, which is still in business development phase. So when I told my sister that I would be moderating this event, as a woman in tech, she said, "You, women in tech," because I have obviously a career in journalism. So she didn't see the two coming together. And to me, and I said, yes, actually, I am a woman in tech, although I am a newbie. But we then ended up having a conversation about people that don't really trust themselves, because she's also in computer science. She considers herself a woman in tech, but she would never speak it out. So I think that talks a lot about imposter syndrome. And you touched on a bit on it earlier on, but how would you encourage young women with imposter syndromes? Am I in tech? Am I not in tech? Am I really doing it? Is what I'm doing part of tech? How would you encourage that confidence to come out?
I think the imposter syndrome is something that face women across the board, right? Not just in tech, because often we tend to question our value. Am I worthy? Can I ask for it? I talk a lot about confidence, by the way, purely because I say that half the times we don't ask for the opportunities, whether it be business, whether it be corporate opportunities, because we don't think we've got what it takes to actually do it. And my viewpoint is that making sure there's two things I always say is that work on your confidence, have faith, believe in what you believe in, right? Have faith in your own, capabilities, and understand that you've got what it takes to get things done. Make sure that also that you have the courage to pursue things. And I believe courage is something that you have to work on daily, because if you did something big, yesterday, and you want to do something bigger, you will need courage again, right? Just at a very different level. So for me, it's about making sure that you confront, that imposter syndrome by working on your, and take chances, right? Put yourself into uncomfortable places and spaces and try new things. And very often how you show up, you will surprise yourself. And I'm going to make this example that when I actually got my first leadership break at 28, I can tell you on that Monday, I was petrified to go to work. You can imagine, right? I've never been a leader in my life. And all of a sudden, I'm leading overnight 28 people, and I have to give them business direction. You think imposter syndrome, you don't even know what I lived through that weekend, right? And yet I ended up being very successful in that role, and that is the role that set me up to go work in Europe. And I had to overcome that doubt in myself. I had to overcome it, because, and it is sometimes it's about in doing that we learn. It's about trying new things, and it's about trying and failing and trying and failing. But the biggest point is that for me, just never to give up. And sometimes you know what you know about yourself. And that is why it goes back for me full circle to this point about, do you have an individual in your life that even will speak confidence to you, which is that mentorship piece where you can go and be vulnerable and say, I am lost beyond measure. You don't even understand. I'm given this job. I'm being trusted. I'm told that I am, I'm potential. What does that even mean, right? In context. But it's about, for example, even when I was much younger in my career, I used to take on a lot of stretch projects, and I used to volunteer for stuff. Sometimes it's good to do that. Put yourself a little bit out there, when sometimes the room goes quiet and they ask the question, who will take it? Just put yourself out there, put your hand up, even though you may not have a clue. And it is about trying and doing. This is how we pick up experience. This is how you learn. This is even how you create a network for yourself, right? Because doing nothing will just continue to petrify you. So work on your confidence and make sure you confront whatever, doubts you have about yourself. Get people to speak confidence to you, and work on your courage, because listen, courage is something that you need to exercise daily. And I fully agree. It's a practice thing, right? To overcome that imposter syndrome, and you just do it for long enough. And I can tell you, it is also about levels. as you go higher, you're going to have to make sure you deal with it to the next level. As you go higher, you're going to have to make sure, but then experience will help you to say that, hey, actually, I have a portfolio of evidence of things that I've been successful at. So my question to you is, and this is a question I ask women often, is that, can you bring me your portfolio of evidence of things that you've been successful at? And do you often look at this to find courage to say, hey, actually, you know what, I actually, if I try things, I tend to succeed, because often we ponder more on our failures than the things that we've succeeded at.
That was very golden, Lillian. Thank you so much. I think we due for a second quote book. This has been amazing. It's been wholesome for me, not just on just the tech space, but I think just in general, and I hope everybody on the call feels the same. As a parting shot, would you care to share with us some of the opportunities that Microsoft has currently and is currently running to bridge that gap, to encourage women and to get more women participating within the tech industry?
Yeah, I'm sure Deora will talk about it, but of course I'm coming here to talk about that big partnership that we did with, Tech for Deaf, Women Techsters, trying to make sure that we can actually reach, people in 54 African countries between the age 16 and 40. And it's about making sure that we continue to bridge that digital divide. And as Microsoft, we will continue to partner with organizations such as Tech for Deaf. We also have an initiative called Youth Spark, and what the Youth Spark basically focus on is to make sure that we expose more young women to computer science. And also derivative of Youth Spark was another program called Digi Girls. So what we now do is, well, at school, we make sure that we expose young girls, to technology careers. Of course, if I just think on a societal level, we have many, many different initiatives that we're running. We have Cloud Society, which is basically a platform where people can go and log in and make sure that they actually, elevate their cloud computing skills. We also started something called the Global Skilling Initiative, and this one specifically focuses on upskilling and reskilling people to make sure that we prepare them better for the post-pandemic world, because we understand that jobs have become far more digital than ever. And we will be running that initiative up until the end of this year. But of course, we can forward to you a plethora of programs, which I wouldn't read out at this time, just for you to know what Microsoft has to offer, not necessarily just in South Africa or perhaps in Nigeria, but also across the continent.
Thank you so much. I did come across a couple of great ones on the website when I was doing some research. Lillian, I'm not sure if there's anything you would like to share in addition to everything that you have shared. You've been very generous, that you would like to part with. This is where our conversation comes to an end. Thank you so much for engaging us and being open and pouring yourself out. This was really incredible for me, and I hope everyone feels the same.
Yeah, my final parting shot, which is one that I remind myself of, is to make sure that we remain ambitious. It doesn't matter what happened. Make sure that you continue to have a bold vision for your life. Remain ambitious, but also running your own lane of ambition, right? Because we all have our own individual journeys. And by the time you get to success, and at least get to my age, you can at least get to your definition of success, because success for every person is very different, and make sure that you remain true to yourself.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Joy, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Unathi. Thank you, Joy. Thanks, Deora.
Thank you so much, Unathi and Lillian. That was really a great session. I think I've learned so much. I've learned too much, and I need time to digest all that I've learned. You need to start, as ladies, you need to start thinking relevant, start thinking partnership, start thinking mentorship, and attend events. Events like the Open Day event would really help you, because you get to, learn from people that if you were to pay for, you can't even afford to have 30 minutes of their time. And we're so honored to have Lillian Bernard on the call today. to join us and speak, just share from our hearts, because she loves us and she wants to see women succeed. And I think I really want to reiterate her parting words. What's the definition of success to you? What is the definition of success to you? So I want everyone to keep thinking about that as we watch a video of Fatima Ahmed, our Women Techsters alumna, and I'll be back shortly. Okay, we'll try that again. We'll try reshare. So stay on the call. It's coming up shortly. Okay, we'll skip that and come back to that shortly. We'll play the video again shortly, but let's go over to the next session. We'll be having another panel session, so get excited. I'll be reading out the bio shortly and I'll be handing over to Roheemah Abolare. This session is actually an industry expert, panel session, and we'll be having Nkechi Ishimwe, the software QA engineer at Alexa Amazon, Toby, Otaki, senior growth product manager at Flutterwave, and it's going to be moderated by Roheemah Abolare. She's a technical programs manager at Microsoft South Africa. So stay tuned as I read out their bios. So Nkechi Ishimwe is from Rwanda. She's lived and worked in Europe the past 10 years. She's worked as a software QA engineer in Amazon, working on voice technology in the Alexa internationalization team. She's also the founder of SheOps, a platform that envisions to invest in global women tech entrepreneurs and facilitate access to key resources they need to thrive. She has an educational background in telecommunications engineering, as well as an MBA. She has held various positions in the tech industry for the past, focusing mainly on smart mobility and smart home solutions. She has at heart to empower young girls and women to believe in themselves and be change agents in their communities. Hence, her work as the Irish chapter lead and global operations board member of Women in Tech Africa, an organization that aims to create a pipeline of female technology leaders and role models across Africa and beyond, by encouraging more girls to choose STEM fields and empowering women to support Africa's growth through technology. Nkechi is an advocate for diversity and inclusion, as well as empowerment of underrepresented people through different platforms, which includes the African Professional Network of Ireland. As a membership director, Women in Tech Africa, she helps female tech entrepreneur as a co-founder. Her motto is, when we support and build each other up, ceilings are broken and high achievements are infinite. We also have Toby Otaki. She's a senior growth product manager at Flutterwave. She loves to be addressed as Toby. She has over 7 years of experience building a digital product in the fintech and edutech industry. She leads the card issuing team, a business that helps financial services, startups, corporates, and individuals create virtual and physical cards. Prior to joining Flutterwave, she built digital products as a product manager that enables Andela Engineering as a service company, matching over 100,000 plus remote engineering talents from 60 plus countries with companies. Toby joined InterSwitch Group as a product manager. She managed card and digital wallets that helped 22 million plus cardholders make seamless financial transactions in 150 plus countries. She's the founder of Products Dive, a product management community that has helped over 6,000 plus career professionals build a rewarding career. And Toby is a certified product manager with a certificate in fintech from the Harvard Business School Online. She holds a bachelor and a master's degree in computer science. So now I'll be handing over to Ronya Ocheng, the Technical Programs Manager at Microsoft Kenya, to moderate this session. Hi, Ronya. Over to you.
Hey, Joy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining the session. Toby, thank you for having your video on and for coming on to share your insight with everybody here. Well, I hear your background and Nikesa's background. I see a little bit of a similarity with my own because with both software QA engineering and product management, there isn't like a traditional course in the university where you go and then you spend 4 years and then you emerge as a product manager or a QA engineer. So there is a little bit of a similarity there also with me because I did go through the traditional track of getting into product. I transitioned from software engineering into product management. And yeah, so I do want to pose this question to you, Toby, and get you an overview of how you did end up transitioning from having your educational background in computer science and into product. How did that transition look like, and what were kind of like the decisions that went into that?
All right, thank you, Roheemah. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you're joining from. Thank you so much, Tech for the invitation. I'm so excited to do this. Let's bring more women into tech. Yeah, I would like to ask the audience, just a very quick question. How many of us have actually heard about product management by show of hands? So I know who my audience is, You can just use the raise and okay.
Yeah, we have 6, 9, 11. Okay, so loads of people.
So how many of you been interested in production? Starting my career in tech. Raina, that's correct. Hi, Raina. Can you hear me?
Hi. It's breaking up a little on my end, but I can hear you now.
Okay, what about now? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Clear?
Yeah.
All right, okay, amazing. So how I got into product management. So I started my product management journey at InterSwitch, which is a financial service organization, okay? And at the time, like when I got the role, that was actually the very first time that I was hearing about product management. So, do not be worried if this is your first time about hearing about product management. I can see that we just had like very few hands up. That should not discourage, and I believe that's why you're also in this program to learn about product management. As I said, I really want to get as many females as possible into product management. All right. So when I got the role at InterSwitch, the kind of questions that they had asked me during my interview were not necessarily product management related questions. They were more related to goals that I have accomplished in the past. First thing, also wanted to test if I was curious, okay? Why? Because the foundation of product management is basically you solving a problem. Okay, so if you are somebody who is curious or who is very passionate about solving people's problems, then it means product management is for you. So from the questions that they had asked me during the interview, I talked about, problems that I had solved in the past. I talked about how during my NYSC, I built a library for a secondary school, a public secondary school in Ogun State. Okay, so I talked about many products that I'd worked on, and on my way they could, and I also talked about like my challenges. So there are challenges that I feel that I would have said, I'm stopping this product, I'm not going ahead with this. So an example, let me talk a little bit about the library. So when I had that idea of doing something for a secondary school, which is like a library, I'd reached out to so many people to donate, and people had told me that no, they're not going to donate. And how much was I earning? Like very little money, and that was like the very first time of me having to craft proposals. So I went online, created proposals, submitted to a lot of companies, companies I'd never been to before, but I don't know, I had that confidence walking into organizations, speaking to their security guards. Eventually, the library was completed in about 6 months. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make here is that, during your product management interview, because really that's what gets you into the door. And I'm sharing this because I want as many females as possible, to get into the door. So you want to speak a lot more about problems that you've solved in the past, and that's how my product management journey started. So things that they could take from the story that I shared was the tenacity, that despite the fact that people had told me no, I still went ahead. Secondly, is being resourceful, because I'd never created a business proposal before. That was my first time. But I went online, researched, came up with a proposal, shared with people, and thought that it was an accomplishment, was an achievement. I had other people who had never tried this before, but who were also in my set, who had never done this kind of thing before. So that's how I got into tech, into product management. But I would say that I have a background in computer science, but to be very honest, it doesn't really matter. Okay, I have friends who have background in pharmacy, they're pharmacists, in biology. I also have friends who are event planners and are currently very good product managers. I have friends who finished in art, like marketing, and they're also great product managers. So it doesn't matter your background, either you studied computer science or not, please, you're welcome. All right.
Thank you so much, Toby. Yeah, I completely agree. There isn't really a rubric of what a product manager should be. The qualifications are so diverse, and so many different people based off of their strengths actually make it within this industry. And really great point around always having the mindset to break boundaries. Like even when everybody's telling you that it's not possible or it hasn't been done, or there are people in your circle who haven't done it before, approaching all of these things with a groundbreaker mentality is always great. So I'm gonna go to Nikes and tell us about what it actually means to be a software QA engineer at Amazon for Alexa. It sounds really, really cool.
Oh, yes. And just to begin, I would just like to thank you for inviting me for this event. And I really am happy to see so many people joining and being able to learn together. Yes, but what does it mean to be a software quality assurance engineer? First of all, I think, I would like to point out that it's something that came from me, from a willingness to find solutions to problems that I was seeing around me, or in any other solutions that I would have worked on. So I started off my journey in tech as a telecommunications engineer, and somehow landed into the software development industry. So started developing applications for mobile phones, and got curious about understanding how it works, but then suddenly realized how much having a product that really is satisfactory to the customer is so important. You know, as a user myself of certain products, I get frustrated whenever I see something not working well, right? And that kind of triggered me to try to understand actually how, as software developers, can we make things right? How can we develop products that not only meet customer needs, expectations, but also have a good quality, like high quality actually. And at the beginning, when I started my journey in tech, I didn't know actually that the job of a software quality assurance engineer existed. So throughout my first job, I was working in a startup, and you know, in a startup environment, everyone does almost everything. So as software developers, we were also doing the quality assurance job without knowing it. But you know, as you went through the journey, that's how I got to learn that actually, you know, ensuring the quality of a given product from a software development point of view is something that can be also a job by itself. And I got to learn that there are different areas where you can apply it. So that's how I somehow got interested into those roles, learned about what it takes. Of course, there is the part around understanding the product and how it's built, but there is a dimension to it that is around being a sort of Sherlock Holmes for software development. So trying to understand all the different specifics and scenarios that users can go through when they are using a product, and trying to see what could go wrong. What may a developer have not thought of, right? What are the different edge cases or the different external behaviors that can influence the use of a product or a solution that can make things go wrong. So the job that I do basically entails that. So I would say that I would classify it in three main dimensions for what I do on Alexa in Amazon. So I work on the Alexa internationalization team. So for those who don't know, Alexa is a smart assistant, virtual assistant that helps interpret commands for people. It can be from things like asking for the weather or asking for information to things like controlling smart home devices in your home, like, lighting bulbs or controlling your vacuum cleaner robot, right? And so ensure that the Alexa device can interpret well the commands from a user and from language perspectives, but also from other different perspectives like cultural perspectives, geographical context, and so on. So my job first entails into making sure that we have a good quality product. So we are kind of the middle ground between the development teams and the customer facing teams to ensure that we give a go or a sign off for the launch of a given product or a software release on an existing product before it goes to the customers. So in that way, we are kind of, I would say a team that makes sure that there are no bugs or no issues that slips into the production and arrives to the customer. And then another dimension to our work is being the voice to customers in terms of, making sure that if there is something that we feel like users could benefit from in terms of new features or something that could frustrate it, that might not be present in the product yet, or something that might be a cool feature for them to have, and also being a voice for different types of customers, like underrepresented customers. We talk about accessibility in our testing, making sure that, for example, people who are visually impaired can use your product without any issues, that they have the same experience that another user. So we look at that dimension as well. And then the third one is really working closely with the software developers team to ensure that we build products that are meeting not only user needs, but are solving problems that we could have in our society. Yeah. So yeah, that's a little bit about my journey.
Really great breakdown. And I'm gonna definitely steal your reference that QA engineers are the Sherlock Holmeses of the products. Like, it's that really pretty much explains all the snooping around you have to do. And it's really awesome to hear that you're pretty much very involved in, even in your role with internationalization and also with all the stuff you do outside work for diversity. It seems like that's a recurring theme in kind of all the stuff that you participate in. And so this one's gonna go out to both of you on why is it important within the different spheres that we're in to have diversity in the workplace. We've been advocating for diversity for the longest time, and we are a part of like initiatives that bring more women into the tech industry. For you, Nikes, why is it important that we are present within the QA engineering space, and why is it important for Toby for there to be more women in the PM space?
I think there are different reasons, and there are many. But the first one would be like, why would we leave out a certain category of the population from what we do when there are opportunities to do it and when those people are capable of doing it? For me, I feel like there shouldn't be any obstacle to anyone for doing something they love and something that they are capable of doing. And when it comes to developing solutions that are going to be used by millions of people who have different diverse background, different diverse, geographies or categories they come from, how can we build something that represents them or caters for them if in our development teams or the teams that work on those products, we don't have the right people who represent them? So we kind of need that diversity, not only for the sake of having people contributing from different backgrounds, but also to build solutions that are going to be to meet the expectations of each category of people. And I think diversity in the end is something that benefits everyone. So because when we talk about diversity, it's not only diversity, the diversity that we see, the color, the gender, the sexual orientation and so on, but also there are, wherever we come from, there are diversity of perspectives, opinions that contribute to somehow innovation. So when we have the same view, usually things go the same way, and we can completely forget some things or overlook some considerations that are key to making. So I think that it's good to have that diversity, to also have a diversity of perspectives and opinions to debate on things, and to make sure that we've thought out of the box and considered all the different point of views that would help make our solutions better.
Thanks so much, Hayes. Toby, I'm going to throw it back to you, but with a little bit of a spin. You have founded a product community with over 6,000 professionals. So I'm going to twist the question a little bit with, why is it significant for women to be in the PM space? And what is the role of community in career building and career growth, and some of these themes that we are focusing on today, like diversity and inclusion? And what would you say the role of community is, and the role of women in the PM spaces right now?
All right, thank you, Roheemah, for the question. So I have a question for everybody as well. So what do you think is in the best position to design a sanitary towel for females, male or female? So now this is a tangible product. Right? Before I go right into a digital solution, what do you think is in the best position to do that?
I'm going to say women, for sure.
Thank you. So imagine if women were not trained to build products. What do you think would happen? The product is already a
men would do it. Would men start building the product? Yeah.
The product would fail. Now let me even tell you why I have said that. I personally am very interested in bringing a lot of females into product management. So there's a report that Nielsen, shared some time ago and said that 82% of products fail today. Who is the most populous gender? Who has the most populous gender in the world in tech? Male or female?
Unfortunately, we're still at a minority, and so it's males. Yeah.
Now, when they tell you that 82% of products fail today, what does that tell you? It also means that you need women to be part of that thing, because you are not building a solution for your gender alone. You are building a solution for both genders. Do you understand? Sorry, give me a second. Hey guys, I'm a mother. My daughter just came into the room.
The usual work from home. Sometimes it's kids, sometimes it's cats. We'll give Toby a minute.
Okay, guys, sorry, I'm back. My daughter just came into
Sure, don't worry about it.
That's welcome. Because I also hear that one of the reasons why a lot of women slow down in their career is because when they begin to have children, they feel that sense of guilt. Please, I gave birth to a child, okay? And we will thrive in this career. And this is also to encourage as many women as possible. Don't let that hold you back, okay, from rising in your career. Right, yeah. So that means that it's very important for females to be part of the solutions that you are building. It's not just men, all right? And even minus females, even in building your team, you need females from different locations, from different regions. So I have been in a situation whereby I've had to work with software testers, which is our dear QA on the call, from Uganda, Rwanda. I have lots of friends in East Africa. I've worked with PMs in New York, because that also helps to expand like your horizon. Like as I said, because you're not building for one person, you even need different females in different regions, because different cultures have like their nuances, and you want to take all of that into consideration. Now remember that for product management, the foundation of product management is solving a need for a customer. So how do you solve a need for a customer when you do not even understand their nuances, where they come from, what is acceptable in what language, in what form? You want to also build so for example, if somebody is blind, how do you build for that kind of person? You want to take all of that into consideration. Diversity is extremely important. So if they want the percentage of products that, I said is currently 82%, if they want that to drop, they had better do the wise thing and bring as many women as possible into tech. Then to the second question, which is role of community. Oh my God. I don't even know I'm going to overemphasize it. Community is extremely important. And that is why, I really appreciate what Tech for Dev is doing, okay? Because I believe this is also like a community for females, mentorship. Community is very important. People are at different points in their career, okay? And a community is not just for, a senior. It's a combination of like different experiences. So even if you're a beginner, you are sure that you can reach out to a more senior person in that community. Okay, you all have similar interests. So for example, Product Dive is a community for product managers. So if I'm an entry-level product manager, I know I'm senior, you can always reach out to me because there are mistakes that I made at the start of my journey that I would not want you to make. Why? Because as a product manager, product management is also like a leadership role, and many of the time, because you are just starting your career, you doubt yourself because you're working with like experienced software engineers, and I don't want you feeling that way because I felt that way. All right. So having that kind of community, clears your doubt. You're able to build up on, like, especially if you are open. We encourage that, people are open. We also encourage that, it's important that you build a very friendly community. Don't carry seniority on your head and say, I've been in the industry for 20 years. And so you started from somewhere, all right? So we always encourage that the community is very friendly. We always encourage, that And then we have like events that bring people together. So before COVID, they had physical events where people come together. But now we have like a bi-weekly event, where people can come together, ask questions. So we also bring like industry experts, So community is actually very important for your growth. So if you want to grow fast, you know how they say, if you want to go far, go with people, but if you want to go fast, but you can go fast in the wrong direction. And we don't want people, we want everyone to swim. We don't want anybody drowning. You get? So please join a community, and if you're interested in product management, join Product Dive, a community for aspiring and practicing product managers.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Toby. The great thing about these kinds of forums is that you actually get to learn about even more forums that can help you on your path in your career. And let's just zone in on career, right? This one will have to be funny case. What is the best piece of career advice you've gotten that you have lived by that has helped you get to where you are right now in your career?
Yes, so for me, I think, so I don't know if it would be advice that I would have received, but it's something I learned along the way, actually, as I went, through the many challenges that you can imagine women in tech can go through. But one thing that I faced, which actually Lillian touched upon at the beginning, was the imposter syndrome. So when I started my journey, actually, when I was in school, I was excelling and everything seemed perfect. But first time in the workplace, suddenly starting to experience the imposter syndrome and wondering whether I'm supposed to be there, whether I'm fit to be there, whether I have all the capacity to be there. And that kind of impacted my confidence and also impacted my performance as someone who was working at the time. But one of the key lessons that I've learned is never let anyone make you feel, low, and never get yourself underestimated, because you for sure you are capable in on being, on working in a tech sector. You are capable of, there are so many jobs and so many opportunities, and there's always going to be one area where you can fit. The key is to identify which area, and where you have to knowing where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, and to go for your strength. And the other thing that has helped me is to really look for people to help me where I feel that I have gaps, where I'm lacking something, to make sure that I'm looking for those opportunities to fill those gaps. And those include, for example, looking for mentors. This is something that has helped me a lot, and I feel like it's an advice that I can give to anyone. Really, sometimes you may feel like you don't need a mentor, but you certainly, there's going to be one area where you need it, right? So the key is to identify it, because, looking forward always in your career, don't settle for where you are, but look for what else can I go for to grow my career, and how can I get there? Who is the person who has experienced the same, who can give me some advice? Like, I want to be a product manager. Let me, take part in a community that has product managers, or look in my network, someone who is in that area who can potentially provide me some mentorship, right? And it can be punctual, not, sometimes, mentors may say, okay, if it's a time commitment that I need to do regularly, it may be hard. But sometimes all that you need, it may be 1 hour, 30 minutes of their time to get really good advice that will help you going. So mentoring, seeking for mentors in different areas has helped me a lot, but also not being afraid to ask, right? Whenever there is something that you don't know, or whenever you need guidance, we all are humans, and there are areas where we are not going to be, the best. So looking for advice and looking for guidance in our journey is going to be always helpful. And for me, it has helped me a lot. And then lastly, I would say, keep learning. As I was saying, to never settle for a certain level, even in terms of education, it doesn't stop at school. When you are in the workplace, there are always many opportunities to learn. And in this technology space, I think you all know it. things keep evolving and changing, and you can't just, rely on what you've known at a certain moment of time. You need to keep always looking forward and saying, technically, which areas do I need to grow my knowledge in? You don't necessarily need to have that deep knowledge, but being aware of the changes that are happening. But also one other thing that that helped me a lot is not to focus only in one area, but as someone who is working in the technology space, you may be a software developer, you may be a quality assurance engineer, but you will find that you will need to have some leadership skills, right, to progress in your career. You find that you need to know how to deal with people, how to interact with people, how to manage personal, how do you say, professional relationships or personal relationships. I don't know how to put it, but there are different areas, even things like managing well your time, managing well budget. This is going to come at some point in your careers. Things like public speaking. Sometimes we feel like, okay, if I'm writing code, then it's only code, and I don't need to improve on my speaking skills. But it's all needed, because that's going to help you in your career. So keep learning, seek mentoring, seek sponsorship, and don't settle for what you know, but keep growing. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really great golden nuggets here, and resounding themes from the conversation that we had earlier with Lillian on, the role of mentorship and growth, remaining consistently curious, having a growth mindset continuously, and just leveraging on, people's strengths and your own strengths to find your stride within your career. I think those are really, really fundamental things. I see a couple of hands up. We do have a Q&A session in like 7 minutes, so you can reserve your questions for that point. And so I'm going to come in and ask Toby the same question. You are in a senior position now. What is like the golden nugget advice that you would give on how to navigate your career that has actually helped you in your own career?
I think she has done like a very, she's done like due diligence to that question already, so that, I'm not beating around the bush. So I'll just tell people that everything she said, please go and write it down. In case you don't, be self-aware, know what your strengths are, know what your weaknesses are, very important. Secondly, have a growth mindset. Okay, seek help. I'm just reiterating everything she said, just in case you forgot. Because I think like she really explained, and even as you progress in your career, these things still matter, okay? Because when you take up leadership roles, this is your first time doing that thing. It means you need to learn. I tell people that when I was in university, I thought I thought university was where I was going to read the most. But since my career started, sometimes my day starts at 1 a.m. And when I was in university, when I wake up at 1 a.m., I'll be angry. I'll be so, oh, when is this university? When is it going to end? When am I going to graduate? But right now, there's nobody pulling my leg to say, go to the library. Because, people report to me. I need to show them the direction that we should go. So it means I also need to invest some time reading, studying, learning. So everything that she said, please, is gospel truth. Okay?
Yeah, awesome. Okay, I'll also remind all attendees here that you can tweet about this event, hashtag WT Open Day, and you can tag Tech for Dev HQ if you want to tag, or if you want to, give any comments or any ideas on this forum, you can do that. So we do have like 5 minutes left before the Q&A session. So feel free also to start dropping in questions into the chat, and we can like start to plan on which ones are going to be answered by the panelists. Great. So my next question is for you, Toby. What do you think some of the misconceptions are some of the harmful misconceptions around women in tech are. For example, we do know that there are equal opportunities, there are multiple opportunities for everybody to get a piece of the pie. But what do you think are some of the wrong misconceptions about what it looks like to be a woman in tech, what the role of women in tech is, that are actually harming our progress in getting more women in the space?
All right. So I would say that the first thing for me is having a tech background. I think that's a wrong misconception. Okay, you do not need to have a tech background. As long as you have that growth mindset, you can excel in technology. The second thing is the notion that tech is only for software developers or product managers or designers. No, I work with lawyers. We have lawyers in my company, all right? We have accountants in every company I work with. InterSwitch, Andela, Flutterwave, 3 unicorns, by the way. We have accountants, we have lawyers, we have finance, we have customer experience, customer support. These people did not study technology. They did not study computer science. So whatever it is that you study, please, you are welcome into tech. I think that the other misconception is that you need an MBA. If you have it, yes, an addition, but that's not stopping you. I don't have an MBA, but even if I yet an addition, it's a good thing. But it doesn't mean you cannot rise in your career. Again, see, technology is continuously changing, So as long as you are very open to, these new changes, learning about them, reaching out to people, research, you'll be very fine. You don't need to have like an MBA to succeed in tech. Another thing that I would say for women is when you begin to feel like, and I really want to talk about this because I've seen this happen to women, is that other things in your life need to suffer. Why? You can have a wonderful family. You can raise a wonderful family, okay, and still have a successful career. You can have it all good. You can get married, you can have children, and you can rise in your career. You can have it all good. You get like, I hear a lot of women say, well, women say in tech, you need to sacrifice something, maybe you don't need to get married or this. You can have it, please. I want you to have that mindset. You can have it all good. I am an example. I have examples around me as well. So don't think because you're in tech, it's very rigorous. It's not for females. It's for men only. Once you go on maternity leave, the company will tell you packing. There are organizations that are very women baby friendly. So I would say that one of the reasons why I joined Andela, I had a baby before I joined Andela, and she was just like a few months, but Andela had a crutch. Andela's resumption was 95. Okay, so the fact that I had to put my baby in the crutch already gave me like peace of mind. So it also means a lot of organizations, anyway, a lot of us are working from home now. But before that time, it was a struggle of where do I put my child? So it also means a lot of organizations. If we have entrepreneurs here, please, as you build your companies, think about women. Think about them. Please, this is, if you are an executive or whatever board that you are in, because it starts from us. We have women there, even if you just 1 or 2. Think about women so that the workplace is a safe place for them, a baby-friendly place for them, and they do not feel like they need to sacrifice their entire life because of work. So those are like the misconceptions that I would, that I highlighted. Yeah.
Toby, your energy is like so contagious. It's awesome. And yeah, also, like, that's a really big one. The fact that everybody is thinking that you have to make some major life sacrifices to thrive as a woman in tech, that's a misconception we need to continuously deconstruct. Like, we can actually have it all. Okay, so then my next question and my last question is going to be for you, Nikki, with the fact that you're working for one of the big 5 companies in like the entire world. What would you say are some of the things or the qualities or the skill sets that have helped you navigate being, having a role in such a big company? Because I think like there's definitely gonna be differences between working within smaller, leaner teams within startups and working with like a much bigger global team. What do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, so I think it comes all to actually being ambitious. That's one of the things. Being curious as well, because when you work in these big companies, there are so many dimensions to products that you are working on, which prompts you to actually be always up to date. So you need to be curious, you need to be willing to learn. But also another thing I think is just to be passionate about what you are trying to do, right? Be open to learning new things, but also to willing to do it. So for me, what has helped me, and to be honest, I worked in different sized companies, from startups to middle ones to bigger ones. And if I can compare, like in terms of entering these big tech companies, the interviews are quite, like, first there are so many interviews, but also they're quite hard in the sense that they look at different dimensions. So touching upon what I was saying about not being, good in one domain, but trying to learn the different pieces pertaining to doing a job is really critical. So I think it's good just to know the different dimensions of working in tech, because each role, of course, has its own, its own demands and its own specifications. But apart from that, there are a number of personal skills that you need to have to be able to go there. And you need to sell yourself, to sell your competencies, but firstly demonstrate that you are someone who can develop. Because what these companies are looking for is not just people who have a baggage of knowledge, they are looking for potential. And when they see that potential in you, even if you don't have the right skills, they will make sure that you are developed, you are onboarded to get to the point that they want, as long as they see you, willing to learn and to progress in your career. So I would say, everyone, and to be honest, I really feel it, everyone has a place in tech. As Toby was saying, you don't need to be, a techie. You don't need to be, like some people say that you need to be good at maths. No, like, you can still find your way as long as you have that passion, as long as that you have that motivation to go for it and that willingness to learn. So it's available for everyone. And I would say just know where your, what you are looking for. Look for jobs in the areas that there are amazing platforms out there that have opportunities for jobs in different companies, and then apply. And something that sometimes as women we do is to limit ourselves and to say, okay, if I don't meet 50% of the specifications of this role, or even 70%, I don't go for it, which is wrong. You should go for it. Just know that, okay, if you feel like you can learn and go to the point that that job is looking for, then go for it and take advantage of that interview or that opportunity to sell yourself, to sell what you know, your competencies, and then you will thrive, definitely. Yeah.
Great, well-ended answer. Like the competency state is definitely really good to have on lock, but then also being in a space that you don't hold yourself back because you think that you don't have 100% of the required skill sets on this job requirements, like doesn't mean that you shouldn't just like shoot your shot and do your best and try. I think that's a really huge one, because even for me, in my personal experience, for the longest time, I did not think that I would apply for a big 5 job because of the list of competencies that they have listed, and me being like, well, I don't have to. So I guess I'm not the one they're looking for. But yeah, I mean, like, even if you do have that competency and you do have these skills and you do know that that's the role for you, 100% reach for the stars. Okay, so we are 5 minutes over time into the Q&A session. I'm gonna advise everybody with a question to put it in the chat. Thanks for the engagement there. Everybody who is asking about product dive, there's links now on the chat on how you can join the Slack community. And then the social media handles have also been posted there. So I think maybe the panelists can also take a look at questions on that hashtag after the session. So feel free to go ahead and put your questions in there. Yeah, so we have a couple of questions, which this one I love because we do have this kind of, we're constantly talking about diversity in tech, but we don't talk about age diversity in tech. And someone in our chat, Olusei asks, how easy is it to get a job in the tech space? Talking about those of us who are transitioning in tech and considering that age is not on our side. Does anyone want to take that, Toby, or in the case, what do you have to say about like age?
Okay, so let me just quickly. Age. Are you 50 yet? If you're not 50, what are you worried? The thing is the 50 is retirement age. If you have resolved, don't bother your head about that. Okay. Yes, I understand age, but if you've not clocked 50 yet, don't let that disturb you too much. All right. So the question is around how. Please can you quickly repeat the question?
Yeah, so how easy is it to get a job in tech for those of us who are transitioning into tech and also really don't have considering age is not on their side? So I'm guessing this has things to do with how easy is it to learn new skills and position yourself within the tech space if you really don't have a background in tech and you're just getting in and you don't have like 20 years of time to develop a successful career in tech.
Yeah, I get that. So I'm not going to sweet talk you. You need to brace yourself up. All right. I'm not going to say, oh, there are so many tech jobs, or you just need to just grab it. It's actually not as straightforward as that. You would receive a lot of rejection letters, okay? But that should not stop you. You know what success means to you. Success to you is that you want to transition into tech. So you need to, brace yourself up, for any situation that may arise and ensure that that does not stop you from still going ahead to find jobs, So I think I have like 5 ways that I would think about it. All right. So the first thing is identifying maybe like 7. 7 is a perfect number, right? So let's do 7. Perfection. So the first thing is identifying the role that you are interested in tech. Very important. There's QA, there's product management, there's engineering, there's being a lawyer in tech, accountant, all those things you need to find out. The second thing you need to ask yourself is that, do you have the skill set? To thyself be true. Now, remember, you don't need to tick all of the boxes, all right? But also remember that organizations do not recruit based on sentiments. They recruit based on the value that they perceive that you will bring to that organization, all right? So now, because you also know that you are not the only one in that pool, there are so many other people who are interested in that role. Do you have the skill set? If yes, thumbs up. If no, what should you do? It means that you should get training, look for mentors, seek help. All right. So, for example, if you're interested in product management now, knowing that product management is a leadership role, I'm asking myself, can you lead people? What if you lead people to the gutter? Business would fail, which is why it is not sentiment. So it means you need to build the leadership skills. It doesn't mean that, again, you need to have 100% of it, but you need to at least portray, that, okay, you have a little of this. You learn, even in your interviews, but you could even talk about trainings that you've undergone because of this, and they'll say, oh, this person is actually, looking to close that skill gap. And you could even also mention that you're somebody who loves to learn. You find learning exciting, okay? Now, the fourth thing I will tell you is your network. It's extremely important. Have you even, so if you've identified, that, okay, I'm interested in this role, are there people around, maybe on LinkedIn? Go and search LinkedIn. LinkedIn is extremely powerful. Go and search LinkedIn. So if you say I'm interested in product managers, right? Search search for product managers on LinkedIn and follow them. There's some product managers who, when their company is recruiting, they post it on LinkedIn. Right? You've seen such before. Now, if you are connected with that person, you'll be one of the first set of people to see that post about recruitment. You know, you could even shoot people messages, like send them messages on LinkedIn and say, I am interested in this role, or I'm passionate about what your company currently builds. I would love to be a part of it. Now, you never can tell. There can be opportunities, and then the person remembers you. And then they send you an email, a message, oh, please send us your CV. We are currently looking to recruit people. All right. Then the next thing is, are you visible? Remember, I said 7, right? So the 5th is, are you visible? Are you visible? By visibility, I mean, if you want to get a job in tech, you need to start branding yourself. So if you want to get a job in product management, okay, you need to start branding yourself around about product. Like, you need to start writing about it. If you write something about product, go and write it on LinkedIn. If you now this Techstar thing, go and write about it on LinkedIn and say, oh, I attended this program, you know, I learned about different career options, QA, product manager, and use all those hashtags, because recruiters look for people on LinkedIn. Okay, so are you visible? Have you told people around you that you are looking for a tech role, which could be product management? You need to be aware. It's like saying that, okay, don't let me bring it. I was going to give an illustration, but let's, because of time. Then the 6th thing, do you have your list of companies that you're interested in? It's also important. Okay, go and look for a list of companies that you're interested in, figure out people that work there, and make your interest known to those people. Companies have job boards. You can create job alerts. Amazon, for example, has a job board, right? You can create job alerts so that when a role is open, or when they post a role that you're interested in, they send you an email to say, oh, there is this role for product management. You get what I mean? So do you have this list of companies? And then lastly, is your CV even ready? Is it marketable? Because they would always ask for your CV. Is your English properly structured? Have you highlighted your skill set? Have you highlighted the projects you worked on? Have you highlighted your accomplishments? I usually say something that when you're highlighting your accomplishment, there's a way to write it. Okay, because businesses are also driven by numbers. So there's a way to write it. All right, I think I'm trying to remember there's a particular framework that I call it, but I don't remember now. So those 7 things, because of time, those 7 things are extremely important. Role, skill set, training, network, visibility, the companies that are interested, and then your CV. Because when somebody reaches out to me to say, Toby, I'm interested in a role, I ask, please share your CV with me, because that is what I will hand over to the HR. So is your CV speaking for you when you are not in the, in that door, in that place? So that's all I have to say. I wish you guys the very best. As I said, I can't wait to welcome you all into tech. Okay?
Awesome, Toby. I mean, we just received like a step-by-step transition into tech, or even if you're trying to scale up your career into tech, like literally put down into 7 steps. Trust a PM. Trust someone in program management to be able to pull that off. That is like so impressive. And thank you so much. So we only have like 2 minutes left, but actually a minute left. So I'm actually gonna wind up by asking all attendees to go on their teams and give a huge clap for our panelists today. Like you can, I don't know if you can see reactions on your side. I don't have reactions on this side. I only have the raise hand one. Yeah, let's raise our hands for our great panelists. Thank you so much for all the insights, ladies. Thank you for your contribution in every single aspect of your careers. I'm so glad that we're all still putting into community and taking time off of our work days to come in and inspire and inform and set the way. And let's keep doing this. Thank you so much, everyone. Remember, if there's any follow-up questions or if there's anything that the Techsters team can help you connect with the panelists or the moderators or everybody who's been on the chat today. Tweet or drop it in the chat or reach out to any of the organizers on the forums that have been listed on the chat. And yeah, let's keep shining in this industry. Thank you so much. I'll hand it over to Joy now.
Wow, thank you so much, Nikesh, Toby, and Reina for such a wonderful session. Like, I've been taking notes, and I think I have learned a lot, really. Like I said, you know, when we had the fireside chats with Lillian Bernard, this session is what people pay heavily for, like to get women like this, to get their time, and you know, hearing them share passionately about their careers, their experiences is really encouraging. How I wish our great grandmas, you know, had such opportunities where women from 5 different countries, we have women on this call from Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Kenya, and Egypt, could just, you know, stay in the comfort of their homes, offices, or wherever they are, enjoy a meeting like this to learn, right? I wish we had things like this, but nevertheless, we're still in good time, and it's not too late to learn tech. Like they said, I just want to retrace some things that the speakers have said. You don't need a career, you don't need to have a background in tech, a degree to even start up your career in tech. You don't need that. Remain ambitious in your own lane. Remember, I asked you and I asked Lillian's question, what is your definition of success? Have you defined the definition of success? What is success to you? What do you want to do with your life? It's your life, yeah? Never let anyone make you feel low. Don't underestimate your potential. You are capable of being in the tech space. Nikesh said that you are capable. Every one of you are capable, and we are not done yet. So I can say a lot of thank you, thank you, thank you. You ain't going nowhere. There's still more. Yeah, identify your strengths and weaknesses. Look for people to help you. Look for opportunities to fill gaps where you are lacking, and deal with imposter syndrome. See, ladies, let's be frank here. You can. Toby has done it, Nikesh has done it, Reina has done it, Lillian Bernard, the CEO of Microsoft South Africa, that is a woman, has also done it. You too can do it. So put your name there, right? Write it down somewhere and dream, achieve it. Unathi also did it, yeah? Oladura did it by starting off this initiative to upskill more women. And Microsoft is funding and partnering with such forward-thinking organizations to ensure that more women access these opportunities, gain more interest into the tech space, get jobs, and build successful careers. And believe me, you can. No matter your background, no matter where you're coming from, no matter your location, you too can. Okay. To learn more about Toby, follow on LinkedIn. So please, all our presenters, please drop your social media handles. Toby spoke about her product dive. Follow Lillian Bernard. See, connection is very important. How do you start? How do you get mentors? I saw a chat, someone saying that she doesn't know how to gain access to mentors. She's been trying to look for a mentor, but it's been difficult. But you actually can get mentors. How? Reach out on LinkedIn. We have social media, ladies. And when you've attended events like this, you could just tell them, pitch yourself. Hi, my name is this. I attended the Women Techsters Open Day event for September, and I hear you talk about some things. That's why, you know, we say drop your punchlines, right? The things, the nuggets you get from the events, take down notes. So just say, quote her. Lillian, you said ABC. I really admire you a lot, you know, and don't bug them, right? Attend events like this, follow them, you will learn. So you don't need to pay, you don't need to obstruct their calendars, because really they have very heavy and, you know, very tight schedules, but you don't actually need to do all that to get the attention. Attend events like this and get free knowledge, voila, and continue working on yourself to become better at what you do, because you need to get skilled. So next, we'll take an announcement before we watch that video that we couldn't play then. Harik, I believe you're ready to play the video. So let me know if you're ready, Harik. But we'll take an announcement from Oluwatoye Akande. She is a comms person at Tech for Them. So stay tuned for the announcement, and I'll come back shortly.
My name is Fatima Ahmed. I'm from Ilorin, Kwara State. I studied chemistry from the University of Ilorin, but now I'm a woman in tech. Getting a job in Nigeria is very difficult. After my National Youth Service program, I was at home for like 5 to 6 months, writing CVs, applying for jobs, and the highest I got was callbacks, which was very frustrating. I was talking to a friend about the difficulties of getting a job in Nigeria, and he was telling me about the opportunities in tech. Coincidentally, at that time, another friend of mine was telling me about how she went to the Nigerian Women Techsters program, where she learned how to code and build websites. Seeing what she could do, I was motivated to apply for the Nigerian Women Techsters program. The training was for 12 weeks. I learned technical skills, building websites, writing codes. I also learned soft skills, communicating effectively, working in teams. It made me more effective in what I do today. Coming for the training, I just felt that, okay, I'll just learn some new skills, then have to go back home to apply for other jobs. But during the training, I started getting a lot of job opportunities, and here I am today. I have a good job, and I am glad I took the bold step to come for the Nigerian Women Techsters training. I currently work as a technical support engineer at Tech Experts, where I provide cloud-based solutions. I want to use this opportunity to encourage other young women out there who are looking for jobs to empower themselves with tech skills and take advantage of opportunities like this.
With partners like Microsoft, we've been able to train over 2,475 women in coding and deep tech skills across 12 states in Nigeria. And all this training was done for free. Over the next 10 years, we will train 5 million women across Africa by 2030. And we're looking for partners who could join us on this journey.
Hi everyone. My name is Oluwatoyin from Tech for Dev. I'm a communications associate, and I'll be taking some announcements. So currently we're running a digital skills upskilling program for Nigerians, and it's called the Digital for All Challenge. Now Tech for Dev is very passionate about upskilling people, giving them digital skills to function in the workplace. Digital for All Challenge is currently ongoing. I'd like to share my screen so you can see it. It's currently ongoing and you can join in. So Digital for All Challenge is basically the basic digital literacy that's upskilling people in the basic digital literacy, like learning how to use computer. If you don't know how to use computers, or you are not basic digital literate at all, you can join that part of the challenge. Or there's also the intermediate part of the challenge where you get to learn, introduction to tech skills, different topics will be taught, like HTML, CSS. So if you're interested in that, you can also come on the challenge to know more. So the platform to join is digitalforall.techfordev.com. Someone's going to put it in the chat section. The digitalforall.techfordev.com. And even more than that, while learning, you also get to be able to earn amazing prizes, like up to the grand prize of 2.5 million naira, and that's for the intermediate level, and also 1 million naira for the basic level. There are also other amazing prizes like laptops, phones to be won every week. So you really need to get on this challenge. I mean, you get to learn and you also get to earn while doing that. So once again, go on the digitalforall.techfordev.com to register and get started. All that you need is on the platform. You can see how to start, what to do. And also, it's very important to follow us on social media because we give updates on it continuously. Yes, then as a woman, I mean, we also announce different opportunities, like when our bootcamp is starting, when our fellowship is going to open, on our social media platform. So it's very important that you follow us at all social media platforms. The link will be dropped in the comment section. So please ensure you follow us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Unathi. That was an awesome one. So again, remember, she spoke about our social medias and she mentioned our programs. I remember seeing some chats that were asking, how do I benefit from the Women Techsters program? And they did not know how to. So I'll just walk you through the program. And shortly after that, we'll be interviewing on this meeting an alumna, someone that has gone through our program and has made out a wonderful career for herself through the program. So there are 4 programs under the Women Techsters. There's the Open Day that we hold every month. So look out for the next Open Day holding in November and October. So those are the other Open Days that will come up. Once a month, we hold Open Day events to create awareness. So now that you have heard all these, do not keep this information to yourself. Tell your sisters, tell your daughters. I saw that Toby's daughter was trying to join her in the room because she has exposed her to the tech world, and I don't even, I can imagine her, putting her through how to use the computer at a very early age. So it's very important for ladies to, gain entrance into the tech space as early as they can. And so we organize open day events so that they would learn different tracks they can explore and know that there are different things you can do as a woman in tech. You can be a lawyer and a woman in tech. You mustn't have a degree in computer science to be called a woman in tech, like Unathi earlier mentioned during the call. So make sure you attend. Like I said, invite your sisters, your friends, and daughters. We have master classes where professionals will literally hold your hands. So for instance, you're a woman in tech and you have knowledge of the technical skill, you've learned about, you've gained experience and you know how to do certain things in tech, use technical skills in a particular learning track. So we have master classes where it's topical based and is centered on a particular learning track, and someone practically holds your hand through the training, a hands-on training over the weekend. So it's 2 days program. So look out for this call for application on our website, womentexters.org. We also announce frequently on our social media handles. So the Bootcamp is another program that we organize bi-monthly. The Bootcamp is a 2 weeks intensive training that takes you from novice to a beginner level, introduces you to the learning track, right, of interest. So by learning track, there are 5 major learning tracks that the Women Techsters focus on. We have the product design track, that's product management. If you want to be like Toby, you go to the product management track of the Women Techsters program. There's the software development, the likes of Nikkei's. There's product design, cybersecurity, data science, and AI, right? So you decide which of these you want to go and which of them you want to learn under. You would develop relevant coding skills, jumpstart careers, or even start up your own tech company. And there's a next batch coming up next month. So look out for these announcements on social media. I know there's some boosters in the house. If you're a booster, say hello on the chat. Yeah, so, and we have the fellowship program. The fellowship is a year-long coding program that, is executed over a 12-month timeline. There is the training aspect of the fellowship, where our beneficiaries learn technical skills and also soft skills. After the training, they go into internship, they get placed, they get profiles for internship, they get paired with mentors. So not just attending open day events like this, they have meetings where the mentors, have appointments with them and mentor them, based on their interests. And there's so exciting things in the fellowship. It's a year-long program, and we have a lot of people that are currently in the program, the done with the training, and we'll be calling for application for the class of 2023. So if you're interested to join our fellowship program, you have a background in tech, watch out for these things, these are opportunities. And remember on the call, Lillian mentioned some Microsoft opportunities that you could, leverage. There's the Youth Sparks, there's Cloud Society, DigiGirls, Global Skills Initiative. Go on Microsoft website, check online. There's so many opportunities out there, and if you do not, you're not deliberate about looking out for them, opportunities will pass you by. So you can learn in communities and, develop your skills. So let's move over to another session. This time around, we'll be interviewing an alumni, and promise not to take your time. So it's important that you listen. You've heard from industry experts, you've learned from executive level speaker. Let's hear from a program beneficiary. So I'll be calling on Roheemah Abolare. Roheemah is a front-end developer and a body mobile app developer at Acumen Digital, a company that helps both individuals and companies design and build software solutions. She currently studies chemical engineering in the University of Lagos, and she started her journey into the world of tech after her second year in school, where she started an online course on Python programming language. Her tech career was skyrocketed after being admitted into the Women Techsters training program through the internship opportunities the program presented to her. She's a tech enthusiast, and her love for tech is born out of the fact that she feels very fulfilled in creating stuff that solves problems and make people's life easy. Hi, Roheemah.
Hi, Joy. Good evening.
How does it feel? How does it feel, hearing someone read out your bio?
Yeah, so nice. It's a great honor being invited to speak at this type of event, because looking at the caliber of speakers I've spoken before, I'm like, okay, no, you're not here yet. But then it's such a great honor. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, Roheemah, for coming to share your experience with other ladies that are looking to achieve, what you've achieved. So tell me, first of all, I'm curious. You're still an undergraduate, and you're studying chemical engineering, and you're a front-end developer. How did you? Was it luck, or did it just happen suddenly? Just tell us. What was the process like for you?
Okay, so first of all, it wasn't luck, and I guess it was two things for me. First, the people around me at that time when I started, they were always talking about tech. I always saw someone talking about tech, someone doing something in tech, and I got advice to start something in tech. And secondly, what helped me was that when I actually tried to do something in tech, I found that, oh, this thing is very lovely. I could go for hours trying to solve a problem, and I wouldn't even remember any other thing I have to do. So it was the people around me and then the passion for it that kept me going. So chemical engineering doesn't actually stop you from going into tech at all.
Great. Thank you very much, Roheemah. So I would love to ask, because I'm actually very curious. You started out as a Python programmer, and then you came into the Women Techsters initiative, and you learned front-end development, and that's what they're actually doing. So I'm just curious, were you testing the waters from Python programming to front-end development? And then what do you advise someone that's is starting out, does not know where to to begin from? What do you advise that they do, and what did you do?
Okay, so when I learned Python programming language, I guess that journey was actually shaped by a bootcamp I attended, and the bootcamp I learned Python. So one thing that I didn't like about the bootcamp was that after the bootcamp for about 6 months that I've been doing what we were taught at the bootcamp, for example, write a program to square a number, to do such dummy things that we do then. And after 6 months, I was like, okay, what can you do with this in the real life? And I got asking people. I found out that for you to actually use that knowledge, you have to specialize. For example, data science, web development with Python. And I felt so bad because I'm now hearing this after 6 months. And I think the Women Techsters program now came just in time. So I felt like I should try something else out. And this time it's actually being specialized and then not going beating about the bush like the other way. And so I took the training, and I would like to say that when I took that training, it was actually a very big decision for me, because at that time, my parents wanted me to go and learn tailoring. And it was like going against their decision. They were very angry. They said I was doing rubbish, but I'm very happy I took that decision and it came out good. I'm very happy it turned out right. So for anybody who is trying to go into the tech space like me, first of all, I would say that because people have actually came to me, I want to learn how to code, I want to go into tech space, I will always tell them, okay, just tech is very big. find a way, a path that you want to follow first, so you don't go about not knowing what to do. First, find a way, and one way you can go about it is that go on Google and type that same question you're asking me. You would see a sea of information for you to learn. Probably by reading through all those tech parts, you would find your interests. Another thing you could do is that instead of just reading through those information online, you could actually try something out. Probably go on YouTube and search data science in 30 minutes, web development in 25 minutes, and because sometimes you might read and not get interested. But if you actually get into doing it, that might build your interest and say, oh, this is something I'll actually like to do. So that is number 2. Number 3, you should always present yourself as someone who doesn't know anything and is ready to learn. Okay, a lot of speakers that spoke today also spoke about that, and I think that's one thing that helped me at Acumen. And they mentioned it to me actually, because out of 5 of us that did our internship there, I was the only one that was retained. And it was because I always approached everyone trying to learn. I was ready to learn. So always present yourself as someone who's ready to learn, and you see that you would have amassed a sea of knowledge to yourself, because even though some of the information you're getting is something you know, you will still find some things that are new and that would have added to your knowledge. So try to find a path to go through when you want to get into tech, learn about it, try doing something in that path, and then learn always.
Thank you so much, Roheemah. You even answered my next question, because I remember that you're not the only one that went through the pilot phase, right, of this Women Techsters initiative. There are people from different states, and I remember your mates. There are a lot of you on that went to Acumen Digital, and I want to really know, how do you, in the work environment, right? How were you able to get, because I think you just need to emphasize that, because getting retained, how do you take advantage of opportunities that come your way? For ladies out there, that might be looking to get jobs after their training, we have bootsters on the call right here. So please just let us know, just just 1 or 2 things from your well of knowledge.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so like I said before, present yourself as a learner, someone who's always ready to learn. Secondly, you should also be learning on your own, like increasing your knowledge base. Always try to learn something new every day, and always try to work with what you've learned so you won't forget. Another thing is that in a workplace, and that's one thing I learned from the Women Techsters program, teamwork is very essential. And I was asked this question on my interview with Acumen, that how well do you work in a team? How well do you love working in a team? And that is very important, because you scarcely work alone in the tech industry. Most of your work is done in a team. So I think we should also seek to learn soft skills like teamwork, communication skills. They are very essential. So I think that was one of the things that they saw, because I actually learned teamwork at the Women Techsters program, and it helped me at Acumen, and it's still helping me today. So teamwork, seeking knowledge, and always lowering your wing when it comes to learning from even people that are lower than you. So you gain a lot of knowledge through that. And I think that's what has helped me so far.
Thank you so much, Roheemah. I believe this 5 minutes of talking to you has really helped someone out there. And so kindly drop your social media handle on the chat, so your peers can connect with you. You're actually a role model right now, right? Yeah, so they could connect with you. You're just maybe someone that might be wanting to go into the Women Techsters Bootcamp program and want to know the processes and for advisory. So please drop your handles. Thank you, Roheemah. Ladies,
you're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, this is it. Like, we've had tons of knowledge passed down to us today. We've heard executive level speaker. We've had the fireside chat with Lillian Bernard and Unathi Twala. We've also heard industry experts, product managers, software developers, QA. They've all spoken about their experiences, and now you've heard from the mouth of an alumna. By this time, I forgot to mention, by December last year, by this time last year, yeah, Roheemah was actually learning front-end development, and today she's actually a front-end developer. She got retained and she has a job. So 1 year is too much. Like within a short period of time, you can transition and start off your career if that's what you want. And I believe that's what you should want from all that you've learned today. So thank you for staying on the call till now. I would call on Mr. Aroma to just, take a few announcements, because I can see that there are some people that really want to learn more about the Digital for All Challenge, and you have questions, please just drop it on the chat. She would answer that and give the closing remark, and look forward to joining us next month and invite someone to join us too. Thank you. Yemisi, over to you, please.
Hello everyone, it's Toby here again. So I'm here to answer the questions about the Digital for All Challenge. Yes. Okay, so someone is asking, are users restricted to just one level of training? No, you're not restricted to just one level of training. You can go through the basic level and the intermediate level. The courses for the intermediate level, you can either do it you have to do it physically with our partner centers. So we have partner centers that are going to be in charge of the intermediate level. So once the list is out, we'll share it on our social media platform, which is why it's very important that you follow us on our social media platform. I'm trying to see if there are any other questions. I know I saw a question about what skills are available for the Digital for All Challenge. So for the basic level, you get to learn skills like how to use Microsoft tools, how to use computers, how to use the right shortcut. So some people just got exposed to computers, but they don't have like basic digital literacy skills in a structured format. So you get to learn that, and of course it's Microsoft that is providing this information. So if you're using their tools, they will give you the insight that you need to know, right? So even if it's just a refresher, you also need to take this course. Then also for the intermediate level, so there are different skills that you can learn. There's introduction to HTML, there is introduction to JavaScript, there is DevOps, there are different various skills that you can learn. But the most important thing is to show interest, register, and follow us so that you are up to date when more information is passed across. Is there any other questions? So I know Oluwatosin Nelson is typing. The link, okay. So the link is in the chat, but I'm going to paste it again just so that everybody knows about it. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you everybody for coming.
Ladies, it's time to call it a day. Like she said, follow us on social media for more information, and do not forget to buzz us. Executive Director Oladura Oladipo is also available on LinkedIn. Please, Oladura, please post the link to your LinkedIn social so people can also reach out to you. And we'll call it a day. Thank you, Unathi. So I'll be shouting out to people I see, if I see your name. Thank you to every one of you. God bless you for joining us. Toby, Unathi, thank you for staying till this time at the call. We appreciate Ade Sola, Abimbola, Ade Abayomi, Amarachiku Eze, Amira Gamal. Well done, well done, well done. We call it a day and have a wonderful night's rest. To every one of you, gifts. Thank you, gift. Thank you, David Lola, Onifade, Fatima Hassan, and every single one of you. We're waiting to see you at the top. And by this time next year, who knows, you might be the next speaker on the Women Techsters Open the event. See you next month and have a beautiful evening. Bye-bye.